What's up, guys? Welcome to UFC Jiu-Jitsu Breakdown, brought to you by Shell BJJ right here in Portland, Texas, where we analyze the art of jiu-jitsu used at the highest level by UFC competitors, and we break it down for you so you can understand what's happening in the cage and so you can fully grasp the power of jiu-jitsu. So recently, Oumar Sy was able to submit George Tokkos with a vicious face crank. So let's break down what happened. Sy was able to initiate a perfect grappling game plan. He closed the distance, he shot in for an aggressive takedown, and once he got him down, he never let Tokkos get back up. Sy applied so much pressure that the only way Tokkos felt he could escape was by turning to his hands to pick himself up. But in doing so, he kept giving up his back. Sy aggressively keeps hunting for back control. You can see him constantly slipping in his first hook. If he were to manage to get both hooks in, it would give him much more control to attack the choke. Now Tokkos knows this, so he tried to prevent his back from getting taken completely by pressing it up against the cage. And it did work for a little bit. At one point, Tokkos manages to fully face Sy, and he sits up for a single leg takedown. But before Tokkos can even think about coming up to his knees to fight for it, Sy immediately smashes his head down and circles back behind him. It's at this moment Sy attempts a new tactic. Instead of fighting for the hook, he takes his leg and he steps it across Tokkos' body, while at the same time wrapping up tightly around his head and neck to ensure that there is zero space between the two of them. However, Tokkos still has his hip pressed closely against the cage, which is leaving Sy almost no room to wrap his other leg around to secure back control. It's a problem he's been having the whole fight. So Sy, very intelligently, decides to pull him back and away from the cage. In doing so, it finally creates a large enough gap for Sy to pop his other leg around the body. And because Sy threw his leg across the belly before he sat back, he was then able to lock up a body triangle. A body triangle is not always easy to lock up. Not everyone can do it, and not everyone can do it to every competitor. However, if you can achieve a body triangle, it offers massive amounts of control, which gives the attacker a huge amount of time and opportunity to attack submissions. It also creates a very powerful squeeze around someone's body, a squeeze so strong it can disrupt a person's ability to breathe and, in rare occurrences, force an opponent to tap out. It is almost impossible for someone to turn out of a body triangle. You have to find a way to unlock the person's legs first in order to have a chance to escape, but attempting to do so will expose your neck to chokes. And in Tokkos' case, getting punched in the face. So, Tokkos instead attempts to test Sy's control by turning and spinning to his knees and rotating as fast as he can in the hopes that he can shake Sy off. But Sy's body triangle is too tight. The control he has allows him to just go along for the ride. In the middle of rotating, Tokkos makes a huge mistake by placing both of his hands on the floor to hold himself up, leaving his neck open to attack. Sy recognizes this and immediately wraps up the choke. Now you can see he's actually wrapped up around Tokkos' face, so technically it's not a choke, it's a face crank. A choke is applied underneath the chin, and it wraps up around the neck. A strong choke will cut off the circulation to the head and cause a person to go to sleep if they do not tap out. But sometimes it can be difficult to fight to get underneath that chin. So some fighters will forego the choke completely and instead just wrap up whatever they can. Sometimes it's around the jawline, sometimes it's across the mouth, and sometimes it's around the cheeks and nose. Each of them are pretty brutal in their own way. And when a fighter applies pressure to it, it's not about the choke, it's about the pain. When applied strongly enough, the pain can become so unbearable that it forces a person to tap out. That's exactly what Sy locks up here. He applies a finishing hold some call a short choke. I refer to it as a Severn choke. One arm wraps up around the neck or face with either the forearm or the inside of the elbow pressed right into the center. Then both hands lock up, palm to palm, fingers closed, and wrapped up around each hand. When you pull the hands back past the shoulder, this will start to apply squeezing pressure, and it also hides the hands so that your opponent can't grab them and pull them apart. Then lastly, After you pull your hands back, you're then going to pull your elbow back towards the other shoulder, applying that finishing power needed to get someone to submit. As you can see, as soon as Sy locks his hands together, he falls back and he starts to wrench at Tokkos' face. You can literally see Tokkos' face turning to the side as Sy pulls his elbow back to finish the choke. Coupled with an agonizing body triangle, Tokkos has no choice but to tap out within seconds. Sy then wins the fight with a brutal but amazing submission victory. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of Jiu-Jitsu. This has been a UFC Jiu-Jitsu breakdown, but remember, you don't have to be some insanely athletic UFC cage fighter to learn this amazing art. Anyone can do it. We have kids classes, we have adult classes, everyone gets to try it out a week free. So come on over to Shell BJJ right here in Portland, Texas, and give it a try. Thanks for watching this episode of UFC Jiu-Jitsu Breakdown.